How many writing systems are there? Alright, let's do this. Here are some writing systems for your viewing pleasure. English, French, both variations on the Latin alphabet and writing system. Russian, Ukrainian, both using the Cyrillic alphabets in their own special scripts. Here's some Chinese using Hanzi characters. Here's some Georgian. Here's some Standard Arabic, Hebrew, Aramaic, Phoenician. I could do this all day. Greek, you'll recognize. What's this one? That's Ge'ez from Ethiopia. Coptic Egyptian, some Latini Darija, you're welcome. Some Tifinagh from the Tamazight languages. A bit of Sanskrit, Mongolian, Korean, Irish Ogham, a rune or two, just a few of the Brahmic scripts, and some emojis. A writing system is a way of representing language visually. But what does that mean? I can say, the dog took the cat out for a walk, and if you hear me and if you speak English, you'll get the message. Or I could use a writing system to write the dog took the cat out for a walk, give you the note, and if you read and understand the same writing system, you'd get pretty much the same message. Really, writing systems are all about agreements. The English alphabet currently has 26 letters that go from A, B, C to X, Y, Z, or Z if you will. We agreed that this one, A, kind of makes an A sound. We agreed that this one, C, usually makes a K or a S sound, and that this one, Q, is confusing unless this one, U, is around. X is a wildcard free-for-all, and this one, the apostrophe, isn't a letter, but it's also one that we'll get really angry about if you leave it out. And so, by honouring all our little agreements, we invented a type of magic that allows you to hear people speak even when there's no one around, which, to me, really is pretty fantastic. In a way, pretty much everything impressive that humans do comes from honouring little agreements, right from meeting your friend at a cafe to building a spaceship. And you have to wonder whether this idea of an agreement itself is a property of language. But I digress. Writing systems go way back, and right now I'm not going to try to get into how they were invented or came to be. The one you're currently seeing is called cuneiform. It was used to write a bunch of languages like Sumerian and Akkadian back when the world's tallest building was about this high. But there's the rub. Cuneiform was used to write Sumerian and Akkadian. Was cuneiform used in the same way by both cultures? Does that make cuneiform one writing system or a group of writing systems that contains, for example, Sumerian OG cuneiform and cuneiform 2, the rise of Arcadia? How can we tell how many writing systems there are, or were, if we don't know where one writing system stops and another one starts? Take these two, for instance. The one on the left is an example of written Spanish. The one on the right is an example of written Japanese. Are they the same writing system? No. How do you know? Because they look nothing alike. Easy. What about now, Spanish versus Catalan? They look pretty similar. The two languages use lots of the same letters to represent the same vowels. But oh, look, Catalan has extra vowels that get represented by letters shared with Castilian Spanish. So, not the same writing system, right? Plus, Catalan has this funky flying dot that Castellano doesn't have. That means they must be different, mustn't they? The two languages, Castilian Spanish and Catalan, certainly share the same alphabet. All their letters come from the Latin alphabet, but we can definitely say they don't share the same script. That's because a script is defined as the way that a particular writing system is applied to a particular language. But slight differences in pronunciations and the number of vowels you have don't always mean that you get to be called a separate writing system altogether. I mean, Australian English and, let's say, received pronunciation, the Queen's English, use the same writing system to produce entirely different vowels all the time. Park versus park. Park, park. So maybe we can say one writing system is the same as another when its semantic units are shared. As in P-A-R-K signifies a public garden no matter how you say the A. Maybe that means that English and Australian English share a writing system. But that seems to infer that you need to speak a certain language to be able to use its writing system, and I'm not sure if that's really true. Like, if you can read English, you can at least sound this out, even if you don't speak Latvian. You recognize the alphabet. You can have a guess at the approximate sounds, even if you don't precisely know the script. That is, even if you don't know the precise way you make use of certain characters in relation to Latvian. So does that mean that even though English and Latvian are different languages, and they use different scripts, and different diacritics or accents, that they use the same writing system? It's an interesting thought. What if we could differentiate one writing system from another with a test? Let's say person A understands the writing system WA and person B understands the writing system WB. If person A can correctly recognize information conveyed by WB and vice versa, then there's some mutual intelligibility between WA and WB. If person A recognizes a large enough amount of information from WB, while person B recognizes a large enough amount of information from WA, maybe that means that WA and WB can be called the same writing system. Japanese is written with 3 scripts: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. The latest, kanji, comes largely from the Chinese Hanzi and is made up of logographs, characters that represent concepts that have various meanings and readings. Now, lots of these logographs have shared meanings with Chinese Hanzi. Maybe, just maybe, if you had a Chinese person and a Japanese person participate in an experiment, if you put them in a room wherein there was a sign painted with the kanji and or Hanzi logographs for walk and circle, and maybe if you told them there was a 1 million yen or RMB prize if they could guess what they needed to do, you'd be able to get both participants to walk in a circle, even though asking them what the sign said might have them relay entirely different words. And that would be an example of mutual intelligibility, one that doesn't rely on any sound similarities like in our park example. And if there were enough mutual intelligibility between Hanzi and kanji, then you could surely call them the same writing system, even though there would be different scripts, because they're applied differently to Japanese and Chinese. I can't find any studies on the application of mutual intelligibility in this way to writing systems specifically, but linguists use the concept all the time to differentiate between languages and dialects. Okay, so now we have a way of drawing lines between writing systems. We can finally get around to answering how many are there? Well, it's hard to say. You know, to know, you'd have to get one reader of every script in existence, and there are lots, and ask them to make sense of an excerpt of every other script. By grading how much sense each participant made out of every other script, you'd be able to map how similar various scripts are to each other. Then you just decide how far away one thing needs to be from another to be considered different. Obviously, 0% mutual intelligibility is different. Is 50%? We can definitely get a few at least numbers. I can tell you at a glance that understanding this isn't going to help you very much to understand this. So there's 2 writing systems at the very least. There's a list of 36 different writing systems over on Wikipedia, but right off the bat I can tell you that a bunch I mentioned at the start of this video aren't there, like Armenian or what's being used for Darija, or Phoenician or Coptic. So Armenian, Darija, Phoenician, Coptic. So there are at least 40. And if you look up how many languages there are, Google reckons it's 6,500. I'll save any refutations for another video. Except that's Google guessing 6,500 languages spoken today. So how many different languages could that be across all human history? And how many writing systems might each one have used, if any? With how much overlap, and how much mutual intelligibility? So, how many writing systems are there? I'm going to stick with a guess of at least 40, and probably fewer than a bajillion. I hope you found something interesting here. See you next time.